In my last video, I started creating with a vintage salvage piano. I took old piano keys and I used them as their own canvas. If you did not yet see that video, you definitely want to click the link below and check it out. I'm also giving away piano keys, so you want to find out the details. I'm Kathy with Waste.Not.Upcycled. I'm a full-time teacher, a part-time reseller, and upcycler. In today's project, I'm going to take the second piece of the piano. I'm taking the upper panel and I'm going to turn it into a gorgeous home decor, which can be hung up on the wall. Let's get started. So for today's project, I'm taking this upper panel and I am going to recreate it into a sign. This is the part that I really needed to fix. It looks like the lacquer was coming off of it. I decided just to sand this portion. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my finger sander, and I'm using 60, which is pretty rough. And all I wanna do is get this lacquer part off of it. I decided to go ahead around all of the edges, like I said, and I was sanding it. I did want to keep that middle portion, the wood. I liked the color and I liked the look of it. What's happening is there's now raw wood there, and I'm going to be using this and painting over it. What I envisioned is I'm going to go ahead and paint all around the top and the side edges, and leave that wood and that beautiful gold sign in the middle, and kind of have that as the background. As I'm sanding around the edges, I do notice there are kind of like scratches throughout the wood, but since it's going to be in the background, I'm not worried about that, and I'm just letting it be. I'm going to go ahead and wipe that down, and I just used a wet wipe just to see what I was working with. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch down to the bottom. Now, I originally thought about filling in those holes, but at the same time, I thought it really, if I kept those holes, it made it look more authentic, which it was a piano, and I want it to still have that look that it's a part of a piano. So I decided to keep those. I did wipe it down the best I could. As I mentioned, I'm just currently preparing the background. The whole showstopper is going to be these IOD transfers. So this is I'm going to take these beautiful flowers and I'm going to layer them over the top. But first, I'm going to continue on with the background. I wanted to go ahead and pull in those green leaves. I don't want it to be too bright green, which this acrylic paint is. So I decided to pull in some other colors to kind of darken it a little bit. And I'm using a mixture of types of paint. So what I mean is I started out with an acrylic paint, and then I'm adding now this clay-based paint, which is something that reactivates on its own. And then last, I'm adding in Fusion, which has a built-in top coat. And that's okay. It's okay to mix it in, but just know that your paint is going to have a different quality to it. Basically, I'm just using this as a background, and I am going to be layering on top of it, and ultimately I will be top coating it so that it doesn't reactivate. And truly, by sharing this with you, I want you to feel comfortable to play around with your paints to get the color you want. Sometimes you can't find the exact color you want or don't have it, so play around with the colors that you do have. There's nothing bad that's going to come out of that. So I grabbed a dry cloth that I like to work with, because basically what I'm wanting to do is just blend this in. I don't want it to be its own solid color, and I'm going to kind of work this paint by painting it in different places. I'm going to be purposeful in like letting the wood show through in some different places, but I want it to kind of be a wash in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue this throughout my whole piece. You may have also noticed that as I'm painting in all different directions, as well as blending in all different directions. I don't want those paint strokes to be noticeable. I want them to go in both directions so it blends. Now, when it comes to blending with a cloth, if you want more of a see-through look, then it's a great idea to use a wet cloth. That'll take even more paint off and that'll make it kind of more see-through. But I wanted this to have more of a solid look. I continued this all around the whole project piece. So I did the top, all the sides, as well as the bottom. Okay, that first layer is now complete and I'm ready to go ahead and put on those transfers. For this project, I'm using the IOD Transfers Ladies in Waiting. This is an older transfer set. A lot of times people reach out to me like, where can I get this? So down below, I'm gonna go ahead and link the website for my friend Sandra at Midwest Charms. There's a great group of creatives that I work with that are stockists, and I would love for you to support them. I plan to just continually share out different stockists, creative stockists that you can go to. Now, I understand you probably do not have a piano panel piece laying around your house that you plan to decorate with, but truly you can use these to create a sign the same way I am. So what I'm doing here is I was just trying to decide which direction I wanted to go. All four of these fit perfectly going sideways, and one of the things I love is you can peel it up and kind of figure out how you want it to lay. And I'm using the lines to perfectly align it in the right place. Now, this piano already has some beautiful gold lettering, so I don't want to take away from that. So I am not going to put any of the lettering down. And when it comes to using a transfer, IOD is probably one of my favorites. It's the easiest to use. Basically, what you're going to do is it comes with a stick and you're going to go ahead and you're going to put pressure on that transfer. Now, as you apply pressure, you're going to want to lift up and you can see it sticking. I realistically should have started with the bigger side of the transfer and it would have made it much easier. But being a lefty, I just decided to start on this side. If you notice as you're lifting up that transfer that something didn't stick, you can go ahead and lay that sheet right back down, rub over that section, and it'll work out perfectly. It's not going to affect the transfer in any way. I wanted my transfer to kind of go over the edges. So as you see, I just lay it down and work around it and rub on the side, and then they stick perfectly. These transfers work really nicely for furniture as well. Okay, I'm just about finished. And then what you need to do when you're finished putting it down is what's called burnishing. Basically, I'm taking that empty backer and I'm rubbing over it. Basically, that burnishing is just to make sure it's smooth, and if there's any air bubbles, it'll get it out, or any imperfections. And then sometimes if it has like a halo around it, it'll fix that as well. So transfers are designed to be cut apart and you can layer them. So here I'm going to go ahead and layer, but I actually kind of faced a struggle when it came to layering. So because I was using the starting point where the layering was, it was not releasing that transfer for me. I'm doing it at the top and at the bottom. So I truly should have went ahead and just started on the right side, and then it would have fell on top of that layer without a problem. But instead, I decided to go ahead and take a little bit of top coat and put it on top of that transfer. I let it dry for a little bit and then went back, and the transfer stuck perfectly. IOD transfers are laid out beautifully, but you definitely have the right to go ahead and cut them as you wish. So I knew that although I love this adorable frog, it wasn't meant for this piece that I was working on. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out that leaf, all of the lettering, because this one was going to be a little bit trickier to lay down, and I was good to go. Using the method that I showed you earlier, all the transfers were laid down and this piece was looking good. However, it's time to soften up that green in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in 3 different greens to lighten it and soften it. I kind of wanted to pull in the same type of greens that I saw in those leaves down below. However, I wasn't going to completely lighten it. I just wanted little pops that blend throughout. So once again, I'm pulling in my cloth and I am just going to go ahead and apply dots and lines and work it until I feel comfortable with it. I'm taking the same process with each color throughout the whole thing. I'll let you take a small peek at my process for just a portion of it. Here it is, the finished product. Now, I have not yet added a top coat and I'm debating whether I'm going to use a spray or paint on, but I'm just afraid of the gloss that it might add. And because this is going to be in my home, I'm not worried at this point of it being scratched. It's going to be hanging up high over a doorway in the front room. If I was selling it, which I may eventually, I definitely would want to add a top coat to it. So I've really been trying to wrap my head around the inside of the piano and what to do with it. I thought maybe you could hang jewelry from it, or one of the things I came up with was to put it in a sewing room. So to design something really cool that you could hang those older vintage threads on. I thought that that would look really neat. So it's currently sitting on the sidelines. This is a project I'm definitely going to be working on soon. If you are not currently a subscriber, I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button. It's a video that will be coming up in the near future. I also recommend going back and watching the piano key video. As I mentioned, there's a giveaway at the end of it, and you do not want to miss that. I hope you were inspired today, and remember, anything can be something, so get creative and waste not.